A little bit earlier, I had read a paragraph from an article, a response to this by Jeremy Helligar, who's a freelance journalist, used to work for People magazine. Jeremy's in with us now.
Hello.
What's your reaction to this and what Liam Neeson has done?
The story itself doesn't really bother me because a lot of people wouldn't admit it, but I think that a lot of white people view minorities in a similar way. You know, one can stand in for all. I don't think that's surprising.
And that, I think, is what really stood out to me from what you said. The predilection to seek revenge on someone who has hurt a loved one is understandable. Thinking one black man can pay for the crime of another isn't. Neeson made race such a crucial part of his recollection, but doesn't seem to have fully grasped the implications.
Exactly.
Do you think he's racist?
I don't want to call him racist. I think he lacks awareness.
Totally.
I think
how can he explain that he was not in that moment for that week a potentially very violent, maybe murderous racist who has gone out and said he was actively looking with a kosh in his hand for any black person to come out of a pub, I think he said, right, who would aggravate him and justify him murdering them?
Absolutely. The
That's
actions
racism.
were extremely racist, but right now we have a lot of debate. Kevin Hart is an example. How, if something happens in the past, 10 years, 20 years in the past, how long does it define you? And I think what Liam Neeson needed to do was not make this about revenge. Everyone knows revenge gets you nowhere. That's such an old thing to say. What he needed to say was, look, it's the racism of the story.
That he's reflecting on.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't take one black man and use him as a substitute for another black man.
I mean, Richard,
that's the point he never made.
Richard,
Yeah.
we covered a lot of celebrity scandals over the years with celebrities saying bad stuff. I remember
Mel
an
Gibson
incident.
is the key.
Well, Mel
one,
Gibson was a crucial one,
mostly.
where with his Russian girlfriend, wife, I'm not sure what she was at the time, but he made a threat to her in a leaked phone call message that he wanted to be attacked by a pack of black men. He used a very offensive...
And the anti-Semitic comments he made as well. So we're talking about over a decade ago.
Two things about that. One, he wasn't talking about him doing anything himself, so he was one removed from his horrible racist rhetoric. I think that's significant. Here, Liam Neeson is actively telling us what he was out doing himself. Secondly, oddly, Hollywood just seemed to forgive Mel Gibson and has gone back to...
Well,
it took a while. I mean, his rehabilitation has been
So here's my question for you, from an
time,
entertainment perspective, from a celebrity showbiz perspective. This, I think, is very damaging to Liam Neeson.
I think it's unprecedented.
But, you know, is it salvageable? What would you be advising him to do?
Well, a few hours now, obviously, he'll be on the phone to his representatives, no doubt, for hours, because he's due to appear on Good Morning America, which is a show clearly not unlike ours, across the pond, in just a few hours' time.
Which has a female black presenter.
Robin Roberts.
So I would
Michael
imagine
Strahan
be
as well.
distinctly unimpressed by this.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see who takes him on and if he does appear and how he falls on his sword. I mean, is there a humble pie big enough for him to eat?
Jeremy, what will black moviegoers think about this? Will they take revenge on Liam Neeson's films?
You know what? The funny thing is, if Beale Street could talk, a movie in which a black man is falsely accused of rape is released in the UK on Friday. So the timing is really, really odd there. I don't think that blacks are going to forgive him unless he comes out and acknowledges. He needs to acknowledge the fact that his actions were racist, and he needs to show us that he's learned and he's changed, if he's changed.
You've actually been in a position yourself, haven't you, where you've experienced this. Somebody saying to you, I'm holding you responsible because you're a black man.
Yes.
Something bad happened to me once.
Yes.
But you're going to be the one who takes the blame.
It's happened to me a lot of times. As a black man, it's something that I have dealt with my entire life. I'm used as a representative, as a symbol for the entire race. And sometimes it's for better, sometimes it's for worse. But, you know, Liam Neeson's story just sort of perpetuates this idea that you can hold one black man accountable.
Yeah.
Imagine if he'd said it. I mean, if he said it about Muslims, right? Imagine the furore.
Yeah.
It would be probably even worse right now. I mean, he has singled out every black person ever who's existing and said, if any of them give me any reason, any aggravation, I've got my kosh and I'm going to kill them. His words.
Yeah.
Haven't put the words in his mouth. They haven't been twisted. He was out prowling the streets for 1 week, armed and with murderous intent for a black person to get revenge. I find it staggering that anyone is trying to defend it.
If he sits down with Robin Roberts, for instance, this morning and says, this has triggered a moment of deep reflection. This happened a few years ago. I realised the shock that my honesty and openness and shame about this have caused. I feel deeply still ashamed about it and I want to make amends. Well, that goes anyway to repairing the damage.
Look at Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart, the whole Oscar controversy, and then he ended up having a #1 movie. Viggo Mortensen, a few months ago, used the N-word in an interview. And although he was using it in context of the civil rights era, people still
But if Kevin Hart had said, I spend a week with a kosh in my hand looking for gay people to murder as revenge for something that happened to a friend of his career would be in flames, right? So it's about the degree, I think, of what Liam Neeson has said here. He's talking about murdering black people. And there's no ambiguity. If you listen to that tape, it's in his own words. Let's go back to Clemence finally, just for... Clemence, sometimes as a journalist, you know, massive scoops come when you least expect them. I would imagine you woke up today, or, you know, tonight, here you are in New York and it's late there, probably wondering, wow, you know, you do a little junket and normally they're incredibly boring and now the whole world's talking about your interview.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, you know, you show up to a junket, you have a list of questions, you know you're going to talk about the movie and you're going to have some talking points. You don't expect a big news story like that to come out. There were other parts to that interview. There were some very candid comments because Liam Neeson was eating chocolate and I made a remark on it, and he and his co-star started sharing stories about dark chocolate. You know, Liam Neeson said he eats it every day because he, you know, he told me he'd stop drinking, so he likes to eat it.
In the
anyway,
scheme of things, that all seems
stories.
rather irrelevant now, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, extraordinary story, extraordinary scoop for you. Almost by default, when a major star or something like decides to reveal something like that, it's a remarkable moment. But Clemence, we appreciate you've been with us all morning. Thank you for staying up so late for us.
And Jeremy Helligan,
we'll watch and see how this all plays out today. But it's going to be a long, long day for Liam Neeson, I suspect. You're watching Good Morning Britain on ITV.